Hello to all the Atlanta United fans. My name is Jurgen Damm, and you are watching Scarps and Spike, an Atlanta United podcast.
Welcome to the Scarves and Spikes. It's a match review podcast as we look back at Atlanta United's 1-0 loss, gentlemen, to the New England Revolution at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. 4 points, Tyler and Tommy, out of a possible 9 points at home. That is the headline for this weekend. And not great. Not great.
Not good enough at all. Not good enough at all. We're going to dive into it for sure, but
yes, we will.
Fans have a right to be pissed.
Tommy, what are you looking for? I feel like you're searching for something.
I joined 5 seconds before you guys started. I just got home from a soccer game, and I'm scrambling all over the place.
Did they win?
No, they lost in overtime.
Bummer.
And there's always a guy that when you see, like, any game that you watch, there's always a guy that you just hate. You just hate. And there was this number 23. I don't know what his name was, but of course the dude scored the game winner. Of course he scored the game winner.
Michael Jordan.
The losing James. Happened all week. All week. I'm gonna find my camera. You guys
This is your fault.
Everything's my fault.
We'll get back to you in a second. Actually, you're getting things set up there. 4 out of a possible 9 points at home. I said it on the match replay, not the match replay, but on the 3 takeaways. We talked about, look, I mean, this had to be 9 points, guys, right? And there's a time
No, I'm stopping you. It doesn't have to be 9 points.
No,
7.
Yes, it did.
It's 7.
Yes, it did.
No, it didn't. Home. No, it didn't. I completely disagree with you.
Let me ask you this. 2018, what 7 points have been acceptable to you? 2018.
Sure.
No, absolutely not.
Out of three games, you're gonna slip.
No,
you're gonna slip.
7 out of 9 is okay. 7 out of 9 for me was the bare minimum.
7 out of 9 is the bare minimum, but I mean, there's a time when we would have even dreamt of 7 of 9, right? Like, it's 9 points out of 9. I mean, that's like.
I mean, it's still soccer, though. Like, soccer is weird, and things happen. Like, even the best teams are going to get shocked occasionally. So, like, I'm okay with 2 wins and a draw.
I don't know.
But what happened in the Benz Saturday afternoon, absolutely unacceptable.
If you're looking to make an impact, and Tommy, like you said in the past, if you're looking to bring fans back in droves, you got to win home games. Like, none of this, Look, I agree. 7 out of 9 isn't terrible. It's not the best you can do, but it's not terrible. I think we all three can agree, though, that 4 out of 9 points is unacceptable. Like, you want to get yourself in a position where you're competing for trophies. You want to get yourself in a position where you're looking at a top 4 team in the East. They win MLS Cup, looking for people to take you seriously after 3 or 4 years, the past 3 or 4 years. You got to take advantage of the games you get at home because, guys, you have 2 games coming in against Philadelphia and Orlando on the road, 2 very good teams. You have 6 games in a row coming up away from Mercedes-Benz Stadium. This is not a good precedent to set for Atlanta United in 2025, and you hope they can bounce back from it, but it's just not good. And I'm not saying, hey, the Revs are down in the standings. I don't care about all of that stuff. When you get between the lines, wherever you play, whether it's the Revs, whether it's Miami, you got to be ready to play. And Atlanta United dropped the ball in a massive way against the New England Revolution. A clean sheet, guys. Shut out. And yes, they had a couple goals taken off the board. Yes, but what do you do after that? And I guess that's what I'm most frustrated about is the fact that you can't even muster a goal against this team, a legitimate goal that counted. That's where I am.
There was a lot of weirdness to this game. 100%. There was a lot of weird things that happened. Obviously, you had the offside call, which I've heard everyone's opinion on it. We had people in spaces coming in saying there was that. There was the handball that wasn't called in the box, that wasn't even looked at, and we'll get to that at some point. Yes, there were a lot of weird things that happened. They hit a post, they hit the crossbar, they hit a little bit of everything. And I saw a comment, and I don't have it up here, of the 3 takes after the game, and said, this is MLS, anything could happen. Why are we being hard on them? I don't remember the exact quote of what it was. But when you keep saying, I went back to my text that I was talking with the battered herons, because Danny always screws me and goes, Atlanta sucks. Like, that's what he says. Every time there's a game, and I go back and I look at my responses to him, because that he didn't watch the game, and there's some people that don't watch the game. They just see the score and the stats and say Atlanta sucks. But you look at these games. And it's the ketchup bottle thing that we talked about a few weeks ago, where I said, my favorite hockey player said, goals will start coming, but it's just, you got to keep shaking it. And once the ketchup comes out, it's going to flow. Unfortunately, you've been shaking it here, and it keeps happening. The same things that I keep sending Danny and Chris is like bad calls. The goals should have happened. They're unlucky. But when it keeps becoming unlucky, you got to call it out, because you have to make things happen for yourself. And unfortunately, it's just not happening at this point. And you're just dropping in the standings, and the players are getting obviously very frustrated. And I'd love, Tyler, we'll get to your comment of what Ronnie said about, them staying together and all that. But if you just keep getting the same results over and over and over, even though you've dominated these games, it just doesn't matter at this point. It doesn't.
Yeah, and
there's no moral victories.
No, absolutely not. And let me just say this real quick. Hit on John's comment. By the way, if you're listening to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or on iHeart, we're live the day after every Atlanta United match around 9 Eastern time on Sundays, or anytime there's a match. Stick to our social media accounts for more information on midweek matches. We'll get to that soon. But one of John's comment in the chat here on YouTube, he said it could have been 1 point out of 9. We're fortunate to get even 4. If you look at the NYCFC match, Atlanta were down 3-1, guys. I mean, they had no business winning that match. They ultimately did, but I mean, in a different world, we're talking about 1 point out of a possible 9 points against 3 teams in a row at home, which would have been absolutely not catastrophic, but just would have been a massive wouldn't have bad. That's what I'm trying to say. Or I forget the word I'm trying to use. But Tommy, you hit on it, and Tyler, we the two of us and Henry, we were at the press conference, and Ronnie Dylas said something along the lines of, "We have to stick together. No reason to play the blame at this point." And yeah, I mean, you don't know how much you don't know what else to say at that point. But I guess that's kind of the theme of the locker room. Brooks Lennon said something similar as well, I think. Well, I think I was there. I heard it.
Yeah, no, he
said something similar.
And that's what was interesting to me, because it was almost verbatim, and it was essentially, we can't start blaming each other. And there's a lot that you could possibly take from that, or it might be nothing at all, right? I'm going to go ahead and say that now. Like, I'm not trying to blow something out of proportion that's absolute nothing burger. But to hear your head coach in the press conference say, we can't start blaming each other, and then moments later, one of your main players to essentially use the same exact verbiage, it's frustrating. We need some more luck to go our way. We're creating chances, but we just can't start blaming each other. That, to me, tells me that some kind of conversation was had in the locker room, maybe after the game, maybe even at halftime. I don't know. Somebody came in probably pissed. Again, this is all speculation. I'm saying that right now. But somebody probably came in pissed furious, showing some passion, whatever. And might have called out, a teammate for because there's so many moments in this game and many other games where you see the pass that doesn't get made and somebody throwing their hands up and out of frustration. Yeah. And, we talk about chemistry. We're 8 matches in now. All right. The chemistry it's got to come together. And to Dyla's credit, for sure, they're creating chances. I would be, and he said this, I would be so much more concerned if this team was just not doing anything. They're getting into the final third. They're getting into the box. Maybe the decision-making isn't where it needs to be in the box. Maybe they do need to just take more shots like we talked about last week, whatever it is. But they are getting into the box. But to hear, the head coach and then Brooks Lennon essentially said the same thing about don't want to blame each other tells me that, there was probably some words exchanged by somebody to another player at some point yesterday in the game.
And not to fuel speculation even more, but this is the second time in 3 matches, and I could be reading into this a lot, but this is the second time in 3 matches the team has come out of the locker room late. We saw the clock said 0 in the arena, in the stadium, and they're still in the locker room. They're still making the way out. We used to joke about the opposing team doing it, but now Atlanta United's doing it. I mean, I would love to be privy to those conversations about what's going on. It happened with New York City, and it happened again with New England. I would love to know what's going on. We'll probably get it written in the stripes or something, episode 4 or 5, whatever we're at. But going back to what you were saying, Tyler, about Atlanta's getting into spaces, they're getting opportunities. That was saying that. I mean, we heard Pineda say that. Pineda said that a lot himself. It's just started to sound like the same thing that Pineda said. And at what point, guys, is this team finally going to put things together? Tyler, you said it. We're in match 8. Eventually, I've said it myself, we have to, have some measure of patience with this team for this to click, for chemistry to come together. But we're in match 8. We're almost a fourth of the way through the season, and we're still seeing, Tommy, like you said, players struggling, looking for the ball, players running into each other, players occupying space where they shouldn't be occupying, running into each other. It's very frustrating to see through 8 matches. And you hope to get things going sooner or later, but at one point, guys, do we start to throw up the red flag and say something seriously wrong? And I don't want to say we're at that point yet, but I feel like the fans will disagree. Tommy, you said we are.
We are at that point, and you're already starting to see. Taylor Twellman. You're going back to a couple of years ago. Atlanta United spent this much money in the summer, and they haven't scored a goal in play in X amount of minutes. This is all coming back to what we've heard since 2021 or 2020. That it's the constant. They spent this much money. You're going to see the graphic of how much everyone they've spent on over the past couple of years, and here's the results that you have. And I knew, we were talking on Spaces. I go, I haven't had a chance to listen to the presser yet, but I know Doug started it off with, this team hasn't scored in this amount of time, and they're off to the worst start in franchise history. These are alarms that go off because and we've been talking about this, is you have the summer trip from hell coming up. It's going to be here before you know it. You're going on the road for the next 3 out of 4. I think it's the 3 out of 4. You come home for 2, then you come home in Nashville, and then is it Austin? I think
it's 4 out of 5. To be honest with you, I'll have to check.
It might be 4 out of 5. And then you're back at home for a few, and then it's the summer road trip. You need to start gathering points. And we've said this in other seasons before when we look at it, where it's kind of similar situations that you need to rack up some points early on because you have some weird scheduling things because the Benz is filled out, and you're just doing the same things that you have over and over. I wanted to ask you guys to start this off, and maybe we could just do this right now and then veer off. But from 1 to 10, what is your warning, or where is your, what's the word I'm looking for? Your worry level from 1 to 10 for this team at this moment. And in the chat, put it in there. Put what your worry level is, 1 to 10.
Yeah, and tweet us at Scarps, Little and Spikes, or Says a bitch as a blue sky.
Reskeet whatever you want to do.
Whatever it's called. But no, listen, I'm a glass half full person. You guys know that. I scale of 1 to 10 though, like I'm like 5 or 6. I'm part of me says, it's 8 games in, and there's still 26 games to go. We're not even a fourth of the way through the season. There's still a chance for this team to turn things around and stack points and get themselves back on the right side of things. So that's where part of me is. The other part is we're 8 games in. Like, why are we still having the same issues that we've had in past years? Why is this team still not playing football the way they're meant to be playing? Why are guys still not making passes that they need to make? Making passes that they need to make. Why are they still making mistakes that lead to goals being conceded the other way? Why is this still happening? And you said it, Tommy. 4 of the next 5 are on the road. You have, of course, Philadelphia and Orlando coming up. You come back home, and then you're back on the road. I feel like we know a lot about this team right now. Unfortunately, we're really going to know a lot about this team come the end of the match on May 14th, a month from now, when they're playing Austin FC. So this is a stretch of 5 matches that you gotta make sure that you do something. Get yourself together, get the team together, work out what's going on and what's the matches, because you kind of have this 5-match stretch still with same issues that we're talking about tonight or during this episode. Like, I have serious doubts about the season coming together in the way where this team is even remotely close to challenging for MLS Cup, if not the top 4 altogether. I'm almost ready to throw out the top 4 thing altogether. Like,
it
I'm
sounds
not there
like
yet.
You're at a level 9.
I'm not there yet. No, I'm not there yet. But I'll give the team a month, and like if we're still talking about the same thing we're talking about, yes, absolutely, I'll be probably 7, 8 at that point. But that's a big if.
So what number did you give?
I'm like
you
6.
said so early, so long ago. I forgot.
6. Yeah, I'm at 6.
Your words say it. Your words say 15.
I know they do, but I'm trying to keep an optimistic look at this. I'm trying to be half full as far as this is concerned. How are you feeling, Tyler, Tommy? How are you guys feeling?
Tyler, is there a sticker on your shirt? It's buggy. Do you still have the sticker on your shirt? What is that thing right here?
It's an MLS logo.
Oh, yeah. I thought you bought the shirt today and you left the sticker on. My bad.
This is like actually one of the first Atlanta United shirts I ever got. Somebody gave it to me for my birthday, like the year the team started playing.
Oh, nice.
Which is why it's been through some stuff.
Yes, it has.
Much like this team this season. So far, 8 games in.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm in a solid 6, I would say, because the thing is, like, we could have this conversation in August and all this goes away because MLS is MLS. But right now there's a trend. And the trend is you have a very expensive attack that is not hitting the back of the net the way that it needs to. You have a team that, and I hate to bring up the early years again, but you have a team that plays in front of the biggest crowd week in and week out in MLS and is letting those fans down. My family was in the stands this time, and I'm glad they got to see Miggy score a goal before he was absolutely robbed of it. So that was cool, but the fact that he got robbed of it, I mean, and the thing is, like, I don't want to. We're gonna have to talk about the refereeing in this game. We have to, like, it's part of it. I don't want to spend a ton of time on it, but like, what it comes down to is you're playing in front of your fans, in front of the most fans for any MLS match every week, and that is the performance that you put on. It's embarrassing. It's shameful. And yeah, I mean, I get you're creating chances. I'm not saying that the players aren't trying. I get that. But it's not good enough. It's
Right.
just not good enough. Simple as that. Something has to click. I don't think it's a wholesale change, but something has to click, and it's got to click sooner than later, or you're going to continue to dig yourself in a hole that you really might not be able to get out of. I mean, I saw the comments earlier about like the zombie Sounders. Yeah, again, that's why I said later on in the season, we might be completely having a different conversation, and that's fair. It's MLS. However,
but you can't add to the team. You can't add to the team.
Well, you can kind of, but I don't think that's the issue.
A significant piece.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're not going to go add anything crazy, but like
De Bruyne.
yeah. But you're continuing to shoot yourself in the foot. This 3-match homestand was a failure. Plain and simple. This was a failure. 4 out of 9 is not good at all. And to the point that we made earlier, it was thanks to a miracle game, a once every 5, 6, 7 years game, that you were able to come out with the 4 out of 9. This legitimately was going to be a 1 out of 9 point match, a 3-match homestand. And that's just not good enough for this team, considering everything, the fans that show up, the amount of money that you spent, bringing back, Miguel Almiron, who, club legend. He's going to have to step it up.
Yeah.
Alexei Miranchuk, going to have to step it up. Saba, going to have to step it up. I mean, like, everybody, I don't know, man. I'm not mad. I'm freaking disappointed.
Yeah.
Look at you parenting. Look at you.
Tyler's
I'm not mad. I'm disappointed.
I am.
Tommy, what level are you at out of 10?
I thought about this last night because I asked people this on Spaces yesterday. Thinking emotionally, just off the rip, it's an 8. But knowing that they're creating chances and they're just not going in, it's getting me to like a 6.5. And you look at everyone else's in here, and it's all around the 7-8 range. So I think someone put an 11 in there. That's me right after the game. Right after the game, it's 1100 after the end of the game. They're creating the chances defensively. They're getting better. It's New England though. They were offensively. They haven't done much. I mean, I think they maybe scored 2 goals in one game, but they haven't been scoring a lot at all. They've gotten shut out quite a few times. But it seems like a lot like Atlanta United last year, where it's the scramble at the end, hoping that you can get that point at the end. And the scramble was fun. There was a lot of fun there. They just got to get results, and that's really what it is at this point. And what you say about the fans, Tyler, is absolutely true. Listening to it on Apple, those fans didn't get quiet. I mean, they were chanting and singing the entire time. I had an opportunity to watch some MLS last night, and I kept turning the volume on and listening, and there's not a lot of fans that are as loud as Atlanta United fans. And I know it's mic'd up differently in every stadium, but your fans bring it every single game. And at the end, when you hear those boos, they know what we were promised. Because I think it was a promise was that there was a promise last year that Atlanta United was back. And we all said, "Oh, Garth, what are you doing, man? What are you doing? You can't say this when you still got so many spots to fill." But then it was, club legend, record signing. We are going to score goals. We are going to win games. We are going to finish in a top 4 spot. That's the goal. We're aiming for top 4, which you heard before.
Right.
Right now, you're just not seeing it consistently throughout the game, and you can tell the players are getting frustrated with each other. They're yelling and all of that, but I don't blame anybody if they say that their level's an 8 or a 9 here, because you've seen this play out year to year to year since 2020. So if people don't believe that this team could turn it around, I don't blame them, just because we've been broken. We've talked about it for years. We've been broken and
hurt before.
Exactly. I mean, Ryan could say we could work on it here. I mean, everyone that we talked to in Spaces, we asked, how many points do you think you're going to get on this 2-game road trip? I didn't hear a single person say 1. People were saying 0.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of that part of it is recency bias. Looking at how you just lost to one of the lowest scoring teams in MLS, but I can understand why fans feel that way. Um, you have to get at least something though, guys. You really do, or you're even further behind the eight ball. I just have to rant though about officiating. Why are we
Sure.
having this? Why are we having this discussion about whether or not it's offsides on Miguel Almiron's goal? Why is there no clarity around? Okay, what's offsides? What's offside? I should say. What's not? It shouldn't be this hard to get a stonewall explanation as to why his goal was called off. Because I'm looking at Pedro Amador. Yes, he's in the offside position, but the ball comes off a New England player, and it comes back to Amador, who is onside at that point. But for some reason, still call offside. Now, I know the rules, laws of the game, and all that are they dictate that the goal should have been called off. Why are we even having this question? Why is there no clarity in the laws of the game, and between the laws of the game and between the fans? Why is there no clarity as to why there's offside and there's not offside? Like, why are we still asking questions about this? I go back to Atlanta United's goal or Duncan McGuire's goal against Atlanta United that was called off. Orlando fans were pitching a fit because they said, "Oh, why is this called offside?" The laws of the game, if you look at the laws of the game, it was rightfully called off. Atlanta fans would be furious if the shoe was on the other foot, right? But why is there even a question about it? Why is there no clarity? It's like you have to go down this maze to figure out, why is this offside? Why is this not offside? It's just very frustrating, and it takes away from the experience for all fans. You can't enjoy a match because you thinking this might be called offside. Let me hold on. Let me called off.
There's a lot of noises happening.
Yes. Here's the thing about that offside call.
He's disappointed again. He's disappointed again.
You can't even explain it properly because it's just
the problem is no clarity. It's subjective. All right, it was Pedro Amador was absolutely in an offside position when that ball was played.
Yeah.
Okay. The question then comes in: was the action by the defender a deliberate action, or was it a deflection? And that is what everybody's getting hung up on, because some people say that, sticking your leg out to consciously defend a ball is a deflection, which I think is crap personally. But whatever, that's what everybody wants to get hung up on. At the end of the day, the call on the field was a goal.
Right.
To then, as you're about to kick off again, for VAR to then step in and say, you need to go have a look at this, there is so much subjectivity in determining whether or not it was a deliberate action or a deflection.
Yeah.
You can't go back. You're ruining the game.
There shouldn't be subjectivity, though. There shouldn't be.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because I can sit there. If I'm a defender, absolutely. Yeah, it was a deflection. Okay. And then the other side is, no, that wasn't a deflection. He stepped in the way of the ball and sent it out wide, and Pedro Amador just happened to be there. That's all subjective, though. At the end of the day, though, VAR is supposed to be a tool to be used in the game, not to completely change the momentum of a game. It is what it is. I know we've ranted about VAR before, but that's why people get so frustrated about VAR in the first place. You've taken what should have been a moment. Forget the fans. For Miguel Almiron back in the Benz, scoring that goal, that first, he had the header, fine. That was a weird goal for Miggy. Then he had the penalty. But this was that Miggy goal that everybody's been waiting on. And you then go and have to go through hoops to turn it around.
Exactly.
And that's crap. It's subjective, entirely subjective. And then on the other end, you have a blatant handball in the box, but hey, that's freaking missed. VAR, where are you at on that one? And that's why I'm so irritated. It's such, I think, a poorly used tool that's available. I mean, I'm watching the Columbus game in the St. Louis game earlier before we got on, we're using VAR to call offside calls, and yet we don't have camera angles that can look directly down a line in front of a goal. It's poorly used. It's crap. It's complete crap.
Let's not get it twisted. That's not why Atlanta United lost by any stretch of the
No,
imagination. But why are we even having this discussion that is subjective? It shouldn't be. Referees need to be on the same page. Pro needs to be on the same page, all of them. It can't just be Alexis De Silva is calling the match. This might be called offside, versus if Chris Penso is calling the match, it might be called onside. That shouldn't happen. It just takes away from the game. It just turns away casual fans who don't understand what is going on. It turns away, it upsets passionate fans, those that know the game, like us, who are like, why is this happening? It's just frustrating. It's disappointing. And Pro really needs to get on the same page on this. Again, I don't want to come across saying this is why Atlanta United lost, because it's not. But it just has to be equal across the board. And we have to get to that point, or it's just going to hurt the sport. It really will, even more.
It's so controversial in the chat. And it's been on
it
Twitter,
be,
and
though.
it was on the post game at 92.9. They were going back and forth with that. Wasn't there Yakimakis goal? Maybe it was. I think it was last season, early in the year, where the guy ended up. I think Yakimakis was offside, but they deemed it that the guy just made a bad pass backwards, and then Yakimakis chipped it over the guy. Was that the same scenario that it was?
I don't remember.
Tyler, I think you might remember that.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember what game it was, but again, that's where, and I see like Dylan saying like, why aren't we saying this is subjective? Because it is. Like, it's up to, because that call, I don't know that anybody would be able to argue this. That call, depending on the ref, is different every single time. Because
which shouldn't happen.
No, it shouldn't happen, and it's not that like it is the refs. It's their discretion. It's them interpreting the laws of the game, but that has to be clear. That definition has to be clear. Offside is already one of the weirdest rules in sports in general. It's already difficult to understand.
Right up there with what's the catch in the NFL.
Right. Yeah. But then you start throwing in, well, was it a deliberate play? Was it just a deflection? And again, subjective, in my opinion, if I have to go make an action, out of the way, out of the central part of my body to go after a ball, that is a deliberate action to play the ball elsewhere. If I am, in the middle of a shot, somebody takes a screamer from outside the box, and I'm just, doing what the defender does, where you tuck in your arms and you kind of turn, and it, bounces off my freaking head. That's a deflection. That's a deflection. Yeah. That's not what this was. He steps out of his own, like center of gravity to go after the ball, and it's a poor touch. Not a deflection. It doesn't matter. Right. Whatever. I don't care. No. Like, it doesn't change the game. Atlanta has shot themselves in the foot. But what it all comes down to is, I think, this overarching thing of the reffing has to be better in general, but also VAR is a tool that is just not being used the way that it should be used.
Yeah.
Well, you go back. So I understand that one.
Absolutely. I would have the same argument for any team, because I think it's crap. It robs fans and everybody of the excitement of the game.
Absolutely.
It's crap.
Yeah.
And look, and that one's close. And I understand why everyone goes back and forth on it. But fast forwarding to the handball, that was in the time span of where you had like 4 straight corners. I think it was 4 or 5 corners. It's very obvious that the guy's hand's out, and it touches it. Absolutely. And it's not in a natural position, anything. And I thought there was a point right before where they were showing the replay on Apple, and they said I think they're going to play the ball here. The ref even stops because everybody was tangled up. The ref goes over, calms them all down. I'm like, is somebody going to make the call down to take a look? And nothing. They didn't call it there, and that's really where I have my main issue. Look, obviously the first one was very controversial. It sucked. It called what it is. But when you don't use it in a situation like that, where you even have the replay showing on Apple TV, when Apple TV picks it up before the ball gets kicked for the next corner, that's where you have a problem. That's where you have a large problem, and when it's not, and that's not called, because that completely changes the game. If you get the penalty, you tie it up, and now the game's back to being open instead of New England just trying to kill time there. That's my biggest problem with the referees here. Like the Latte-Loth goal, definitely offside. The young defender, I think it was. I mean, he made sure that Latte-Loth was offside still, so fine. That second one that got taken off, that's fine with me. But when you don't even, you can't catch the handball there, that's ridiculous to me here. But again, I see people calling us out for calling the referees out. I mean, if it's that, everyone's saying it's not controversial. If it's that controversial that everyone's talking about and everybody's got different opinions, it's controversial.
Yeah,
like when you talk about a handball there and not one, everyone's like, yeah, that sucks. That's what it is. Like, absolutely. That should be something that we should be complaining about here. But everyone that I've had, or I've heard, whether it was on, like I said, the post game on the radio or Spaces or Twitter or here, there's a lot of people that just have different opinions on it. And that's just, it sucks. And no matter what happens, those situations suck. But you still couldn't get the win.
It doesn't suck though, guys. Sweetwater 420 Fest, April 18th through the 20th. Guys, this coming weekend, it is happening in just a matter of days. Go to our Instagram, Scars and Spikes. Go to our X page, x.com/Scars, or letter N Spikes. Blue Sky, go there as well and get entered to win 2 VIP tickets to Sweetwater 420 Fest, April 18th through the 20th at Pullman Yards here in Atlanta. Ton of great artists, musicians will be there. If you go on Saturday, they'll have the Atlanta United match playing there as well against the Philadelphia Union. So you'll be able to check that out as well. But yeah, if you're on Instagram, go to Instagram. Make sure you're following Sweetwater 420 Fest and Scars and Spikes, and comment in the post on Instagram. Tag who you will take to the festival to be entered. If you're on X, retweet or repost the post that we have there. Make sure you're following 420 Fest and Scarves and Spikes, and you'll be entered. And if you are on Blue Sky, just repost our post there as well. You'll be entered to win. All the instructions are on our social media networks, our social media channels.
2 of the VIP tickets too, which
yes,
I'm not going to repeat the entire bunch of benefits that you get with these VIP tickets because it's a lot, but highlights. There are a handful of artists that you can only see on the VIP stage. Also, air-conditioned bathrooms, which is a big plus.
There you go.
Private bar. There's so much for it, and it's a full weekend pass. So yeah, you and a buddy, you and the spouse, you and whoever,
partner.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, you got 2 tickets. So and then if you are a patron member, you get extra entries.
Nobody wants to use a porta potty at a festival. Not a single person in the world wants to use a porta potty at a festival. I've had to use a porta potty at the tailgates, and I feel so dirty. Like, I just want to bathe in there. So if you just tell me private bathrooms, like bathe. No, I want to bathe in hand sanitizer.
Yeah, there was a key piece.
I missed it. I missed it. I don't want to bathe in the the porta potty.
You don't have to worry about porta potties if you get a VIP ticket because they have air conditioned bathrooms, gentlemen. But yeah, go to our social media channels for all the instructions how to enter. Tyler mentioned Patreon, patreon.com/Scarves and Spikes. Take advantage of our new benefits. We have some updated benefits, guys, that we have for our supporters, old and new. So check that out as well. And scarvesandspikes.com for all the latest Atlanta United news, analysis, and opinion.
Okay, I just want to add something real quick. I was going to put this in the Discord. I forgot. We added all these different tiers a long time ago, and we were kind of just, you guys were just kind of throwing us some money there and that we getting a lot of the benefits. But we really wanted to, we got together and said each benefit needs to have some different things. So we've added a ton of fun different things on there. I mean, we're talking about the twos. Sydney did a great thing about the U.S. national team a couple of days ago. You can actually ask us to do a mini podcast about whatever you want. That could get weird. I'm ready to get weird. Let's get weird. I don't know what's going to happen in there. We have to figure out what the first one's going to be, but I am scared and nervous and excited all at the same time. But let's just not talk about referees. That's the only thing. Just no referees. If you say please spend 30 minutes 30 minutes on the offside call, I'm out. I'm out. Rather not. You guys can handle that one. I'm not gonna be there.
It's what the people pay for. It's what they want.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know that anybody's going to have a conversation.
Within reason.
I'm going into that podcast full 420 fest. Then that's the full 420 fest. I'll be going in there.
I'm sure you will be. What did you guys think of the lineups? By the way, what did you think of Almiron on the left wing? And I'm asking this for a reason because kind of stemming from Henry's question. Tommy says thumbs down. Can I make a controversial observation?
Let's go.
Miguel Almiron.
This whole thing's about controversy.
Yeah, what? Let's just throw another log in the fire here. Miguel Almiron. Yes, he scored, and yes, the goal was called offside. It's not working on the left wing. I mean, he had.
That's not controversial.
Yeah, well, I mean,
that's duh.
I want to see. I want to tread lightly because Miguel Almiron's obviously a club legend. He spent so much to this club. Just didn't get it done on the left wing. Has some good moments.
When was he on the left wing?
Yes. Well,
when was he on the left?
Hold on. He has some good moments. He has some good moments against New England, and he scored. It was taken off. I won't get into that again. But just the balance of what he's done, we need more. We need more. And Tyler, you said it earlier. We need him to step up. I mean, I'm sure he understands that. It's just, when do you get to a point? I just want to be very careful how I say this. When do you get to a point where you look at Miguel Almiron's signing and wonder, hey, is this the best signing for the team right now? If we want to really push the team forward, is it the best signing? Because, look, he's a quality player. He's a terrific player. And to take nothing away from him and what he's done for Atlanta United, what he's done at Newcastle, absolutely tremendous. Is he the right player for Atlanta United right now? You see him occupy the same spaces as Alexei Miranchuk from time to time. You see him just kind of the frustration. I mean, he won't show it immensely like a Joseph or anything like that, but his form and his quality has just dipped tremendously since he was last year. I mean, it's age, of course, definitely age, but is he the best player for Atlanta United at this point in time? You got to play him. I mean, he means a lot to this club. You have to play him, but when you look at what Miguel Almiron's done thus far, there are 8 matches. Can you really look at it and say he's made this team better? Is my question. It's kind of open-ended at this point because I'll just say this controversially. I don't know that he has for now. Come back to me in a month's time, and I'll have a better answer. But for now, I just don't know. I don't see it, guys. I really don't.
I think were you listening to our spaces? Because Bruno actually said the same thing. Bruno came in and says, Miguel Almiron, the problem. And you have when you're in MLS and you're in a salary cap league, you've got pieces of the puzzle, and a lot of them have to be able to move around. You have to be able to, if injuries happen, you've got to be able to move things around, hope that it works. they really went in
Yeah.
thinking that Saba was going to be the answer on the left. Almiron was going to be on the right. Ronchuk was going to be the guy at the 10, and it was all just going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And now you're moving pieces around just hoping that it works. And that's what, because I saw Almiron on the left, when I looked at the line, I go, okay, all right. How many times was Almiron like on the left? I mean, I know he was there, but there were quite a few times where there was nobody there on the left. And it worries me because you don't have, I said last week, you don't have a quality left winger here. If Saba's not going to work on left, you just don't. Shandy Silva, even though I was begging for him to come into that game way earlier than what he did, you just don't have it now. It's not working. The pieces of the puzzle, your plan didn't work, and now you're just scrambling to try to see what piece can fit where to salvage this plan that you have. And I don't think it's Almiron's fault, even though he tends to drift wherever he wants to, and sometimes leaves the spots open. It's just that the puzzles it didn't fit together, and now you have to be able to figure out how are you going to fix it. Can it be fixed with the current team there, or do you have to move on from someone? And I don't. And I saw. I think Omar put in there that Miguel was a PR choice. I don't believe that. I don't. I know that there was like if the side. I think we said in Spaces yesterday because someone also said the same thing. Like, he is too smart. A former executive of the year. He's not going to bring on somebody just for the sake of saying, "Oh, this is going to get people in here to sell some tickets." I don't believe that. But if your analytics team was saying, he's a 7.5 signing or an 8-point signing, it probably adds a 1 pointer to it, or a 1.5 for him being a club legend. Like, that goes, well, if you think he's there and he's going to really get the fans excited about, we'll add a point to it. But I think there was, always the thought of bringing him in, and it just added to it. But the pieces aren't working. He doesn't want to be on the right wing. He wants to be at the 10. And you can tell that he wants to be there. Yeah, exactly. He said it a couple of weeks ago. Saba doesn't want to be on the left. Saba likes being on the right. That's where it works out. So what do you do? Do you go all season, which I think you kind of have to unless you use a buyout? And who do you buy out here? And if you buy, and I'm not even saying this, but someone suggested it. I think I saw on Twitter. You do not buy if you buy out Miguel Almiron. Just close the Benz. Close the Benz for a day and just do the COVID empty arena match that you have there. That's not going to happen. But is Runchuk, as far as the DP, is he the choice that you need to be having for this year and next year and how many years that you have him for? Or do you just start thinking we got to make a change? We have to make a change somewhere. And there's always someone that comes out and bails Atlanta United out on their DP situation. Thank you for Pity Martinez being able to leave, shockingly.
I lost.
But do you pull that alarm? Do you pull that alarm this quick, or do you just keep trying? And I think you have to, unless somebody calls. But what do you do here with these pieces? Because they're not fit. It's not, the puzzle's not fitting together right now.
So what's the alarm?
There's a lot to unpack.
So Moranchuk? About the alarm, or
I think that's the alarm. Because it's not working right now. I mean, and I'm not saying that he's not working. I'm just saying that your pieces aren't fitting.
Coming together, yeah.
Right. And you have to do something here.
Yeah.
And Ronnie is sticking. I mean, Henry was told.
He was told. He was told.
He keeps putting in there. Hopefully it works. And I don't think he's looked bad. Okay. But there's just times in any team where you might have a guy that is good, but he just doesn't fit where he needs to be. He doesn't fit for this team. And that's what they've got to be able to figure out. Can you get all of these pieces? Because I don't think this team is better without Saba on the field.
Right.
And you can't just not play. You can't just have a DP as a sub, because we've talked about that. I mean, we've talked about everything over the past couple of weeks. We've talked about it. There's been 100 articles, right? I mean, Joe Patrick and Henry are going back and forth on where he should play. It's getting asked. We've thrown everything out there. But this team's better when Saba's out there. This team's better when Miguel Elmer. All your DPs are out there. If you can't make it work, what do you do?
Yeah. Tyler has the solution, I bet.
No,
I've been just yelling at the sky. So you go ahead. I'm hitting you.
Miguel Almiron is not even kind of the problem right now. I don't know that at all. I think he is the one out there consistently putting forth 90 minutes of effort, even if it's not always paying off. That dude never stops, and that's part of what you brought him back for, is that work ethic and that desire to win. And I think somebody said it a minute ago, like, this team does have an identity crisis right now. I'm not mad at Dyla for trying him on the left. Because you have to do something, like, for all the, because I've seen a lot of people, blaming Dyla for a lot of stuff. And I think he's not, the Miranchuk at the 10 thing, that's definitely debatable for sure. But like, he's trying different stuff in terms of like where he's playing guys. That I actually think when he makes the subs in most of the games that they've played this year, the subs have been actually pretty good in terms of like changing things up, like what he did at the half to take Saba off and switch to a back three center backs to kind of help out. That opened things up for Atlanta. It did allow them to create more opportunities. So like, those things are happening. Miguel Almiron's not the problem. Latte Lath is not the problem. Figuring out your left, the problem right now is the left wing, period. Because you're trying to put a Band-Aid on it to fix it. If somebody that was playing the left wing would figure out how to make a back post run, this team would have probably 8 more points than they have right now. 100%. Like, how many crosses just get sent? And they're not bad crosses. That's why, like, people keep getting on. They're not bad crosses. Now, some of them are, but they're not bad crosses. They're to the back post.
No one there.
Where nobody's there. Tyler Wolf would be feasting on this team right now if he were still here. It's like, it's ridiculous. And like that's fundamental soccer, right? Like, somebody on the left needs to be there waiting for those headers. They're not, right? Like, we saw how many crosses just over and over and over and over and over again yesterday, not to mention the other games. And it's always a coin toss when you put a ball into the middle of the box for a guy like Latte Lath. He can get up, but he's going to be smothered. But that back post is consistently empty. I watched it in training last week. I think it was Brooks Lennon. I put a tweet out about it. Brooks Lennon played a beautiful cross over the top to the back post. Guess who was there? Pedro Amador. Superman header. Scores a goal off of it in training, a full side 11v11 scrimmage. Where is that in the game?
Exactly. Why is it not happening? Why is it not happening in games?
It's just irritating. And like, Donnell mentioned a little while ago, like, I don't think it's a lineup problem necessarily. I think it is a confidence problem, and it's a fundamentals problem. Like, there's little things that you could be doing better that are not hard to fix. No, and TJR saying like, no, it's not okay. Like, it's not okay to put random crosses into the box when nobody's there. Right. Not even kind of. But in training, they're expecting somebody to be there, and they are. But then when you get out on a real game, nobody's there. So, like, you can't say, I don't expect anybody to be there, because you do. You do it in training.
It has to be an understanding. Yeah. Has to be an understanding to get there.
It's just, it blows my mind. Like, so anyway, that said, it was a lot to unpack. Miggy's not the problem. It's not Miggy. It's
Tyler. It's kind of like an EFC when you have to pick your position and you get stuck on defense. You're like, you know what? I'm going to be striker anyways. Don't tell me I've got to play defense. I'm going up and I'm playing up front. Because there's always that one guy. And if I'm playing EFC at 2 a.m, that's this guy. Oh, you want me to play goalie?
Doesn't matter who scores him as long as they're going in the back of the net.
Yep.
What else from the loss, guys. I mean, we already talked about Philadelphia and Orlando coming up. I mean, I think we talked about it just a little bit, but just to kind of close the loop on expected points from this away stand coming up.
Well, I interrupted Tyler on there. You got anything else you want to say there?
No, I mean, I think my last little bit on it was, you know, if we're mentioning the lineup specifically, I still contend that, like I said, the left wing's the problem for sure. The left wing has to be nailed down. Something has to happen there. But I think Miguel Almiron is a 10. He's played as a 10 here and at all of his clubs. He played it at Newcastle for a while before he was switched to the right. I get that he plays as a left for Paraguay. That's fine. Whatever. Like, where's Paraguay at in the international soccer sphere?
Yeah.
He's a 10. Even when he's playing the left or the right, he tends to drift to the middle because he likes to be the 10. He said he likes to be the 10. Saba, infinitely better on the right. We know this. Latte Lath not going anywhere. If you want to keep Miranchuk on the field, an attack-minded 8, then you need your 6 along with your center backs to play ball. Like they've got to be, somebody's got to have a dog in them and be a lot more than what you've seen at that number 6 position. I think Tristan Miyama's been doing pretty well, but you got to lock that down and allow Alexei Miranchuk to control the control the pace of the game. And so if we're talking about lineups, like, I still contend right now that's the best way that you can fit them all on the field at the same time.
You talk about them going on the road. And sometimes in sports, getting away from home can be helpful. Because in hockey, they always call it gripping the stick a little too hard. Well, they were better last year on the road when they were struggling at home. And yeah, they always say, like, teams tend to grip their stick a little bit harder, especially when the fans are there and they're booing you and you're expecting to get a big result. That you can go back to playing a little bit more organized and not worrying about the fans. Like, if you've been to a hockey game, and it happens in soccer too, we just hear people shoot, and if you shoot it, it's just going to go. You can't shoot it through that guy's torso; it doesn't go through. maybe EAFC 1993 that happened, right? But that doesn't happen in real life. But then you know what? You might say that the players don't shoot, but they do. They do. Sometimes they hear the players yelling shoot, and they shoot, and it doesn't happen. Yeah. And you got to hope that maybe some bonding time with this team on the road. I know it's different than other road things where you come back home and you come back to your families, but you got to hope that maybe they go on the road for the next 2 games. They work things out and they get some points here. I don't think they're going to come back with 0 points. I don't. I think they get a win.
Me neither.
I do think that they get a win in one of these 2, and I think that's going to be against Philadelphia. I do. I'm not betting anything. Nobody put anything in the chat about. I'm done betting the beard on this team this season. I'm done betting money on this team this season. I am done. The New England fans were in my Twitter about some bet that I posted, acting like it was the craziest bet in the world. I'm not doing that anymore. But that's what you got to hope, is that in the next couple games that this team can fix things on the field, fix things in the locker room, if that is an issue. But like you said earlier, if you start bringing things up, there's a problem. Same thing about the players being tired that we said a couple of weeks ago when we constantly heard, like, oh, they're not tired. They're not tired. If you're bringing it up, then there's probably a good chance that maybe that is the problem.
Yeah.
So at this point, that's what you got to hope for, is that you see some cohesion and maybe they just go back to basics on the road, and they do it. And they didn't look terrible in a half against Charlotte. They looked pretty good in Cincinnati, but that was you didn't have Miguel Almiron out there and quite a few other players, and Miranchuk played in one of his better games there. You just got to hope that it comes together, unfortunately. And we keep yelling at the sky all we want. And that's what we do because we're a podcast. We need to yell at this guy
Yell at somebody.
at times. I always feel like these Sundays are hell for me because I go through like 2 hours of like spaces, and then I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I guess I gotta go through it all again. It's like this is 2 times.
Right.
It's 2 times for this.
Double your pleasure, right?
Yeah, like I just want to come in on here and talk about wins. I want to be happy on a Sunday.
Me too.
There.
Me too.
But the reality is that you are off to your worst start. I think Doug posted what the home record has been after I don't remember what it was, but it's pitiful. It really is. That's why I said I don't want to hear about the castle and the fortress and all of that because it's just it's going to take a long time to be able to rebuild that there.
Yeah.
But what we talked about the fans, the player of that game was the fans to me because they just don't stop. They don't stop. They cheered throughout that entire game for the players. The players tried their best at the end to be able to get that goal. It just didn't come in. But man, there are a lot of diehards in this fan base, and it's just sad that they haven't been able to have some happy moments over the past 5 years.
So, really quickly before we get done, I know Dylan really wants us to talk about Ron and Dyla, but I'll throw this out there because it is a point, and I think it was actually Taylor Twellman that put it out today. I mean, obviously, you just mentioned it, the worst start in Atlanta's history, right? Worse than a guy named Gabriel Heinze. That's all what happened with that.
Yeah.
Obviously, totally different front office at the time. But how hot is the seat?
No. I mean,
it's the same. I think it's the same as the warning level we talked about earlier. I mean, unless you guys disagree, do you think it's less than the 6?
Yeah, I think it's less than that. I mean, fans will always look for a scapegoat or a boogeyman, and Dyla started to become that. I don't think he gets fired after 8 matches or 10 matches. I think if he's here for at least a year and a half or so, unless something tragic happened. But I'm not ready to have the discussion about firing him. That's silly.
I think, just to put a little bit more of like detail on it. Like, I mean, we see Dyla in training. We see him after the games. Like, this is not. I don't think this is all on Dyla. Now, yeah, I mean, the coach is always going to be the one that it comes back on for sure. And I'm not at all trying to say that shouldn't be the case here. He's got to figure it out, absolutely. But I mean, the players have to execute. We've had this conversation before, but I would be very concerned if Dyla was running out essentially the same exact lineup every match and then coming away with these results and not making subs that were effective and things like that. Like, you see him trying things, and at some point, like, your $50 million attack has to hit the back of the net. Yeah. And so, I don't think – I think Dyla's doing what he can. I'd be very curious to see kind of what was said in the locker room, both at halftime and after the match, and honestly, during a handful of matches so far this season. He doesn't just let crap go. And we've said it a million times already this season. In training, he calls people out, right? Like, I don't know what else a coach can do when he's changing things around. He's, making subs to try to get something to happen, to try to spark something. He's trying to change the culture of whatever you want to call it, whether it's, maybe some players with a sense of maybe entitlement, laziness, whatever. I don't think it's Dyla at this point. I think the players have to start executing.
3 words. Frank DeBoer. Remember that?
Frank DeBoer, though, he finally shifted and changed.
Exactly.
He changed in his ways.
Exactly.
He was forced to.
Yep.
Well, I don't know if he was forced.
Well,
but he was smart enough to do. But also, there was a Joseph Martinez to save him there.
Yeah.
That was a different situation, because if Joseph didn't go on that scoring run, there's a lot more. I mean, that's a real bad situation that you had there. There were a lot of 1-0 games there, and it was a lot of 1 or 2-0 or 2-1 games where it's just Joseph, scoring a brace, or Joseph scoring the one goal. I'm not worried about it this season. I don't think he goes anywhere. But if he refuses to make some changes, and the team just continues to, if you do see that the players are getting into it, and he's just not able to manage this team and keep them a tight unit, then maybe at the end of the season you do make that, you do have to, you're forced to make that change. But that's a like, I think Garth Lagerwey, if it ever did get to that point, that he would have to make that change, because this is his legacy.
Yeah.
Garth Lagerwey has a legacy. He does. He's got a great history in this league, and this was his first coaching hire that he was able to do. He's brought that up many times, that he wanted the opportunity to do it. It could be real bad if everything else he's really succeeded in, but bringing in a coach was his first major failure.
Yeah.
And again, nobody clip this and just and cut it out, because I don't think that that's what it is. I don't think that that's where it is. But at the end of the year, they will, if things don't get better, and they are if God forbid they didn't make the playoffs, you have to have that real conversation on why you're keeping him, why you'd keep him and not move on from him. Because you can't go backwards. You can't go backwards in the season.
Right.
When you went last year, you snuck in. You played a third of the season, or a fourth, whatever it was, without 2 DPs, and you still were able to get results, some big results on the road. And you snuck in on the last day, and you beat the best team. If this team doesn't make the playoffs, I would have that conversation 100%. I don't care what the situation is. Here, you have a lot of the same team, but with better players.
I hope Ronnie Dyla is here for many long, successful years, that we don't have to have that conversation.
Well, the players don't want to wear suits no more. You got casual Saturdays.
Yeah,
casual Saturdays might be gone with the next guy that comes in.
I know. Any other burning topics for you guys? I feel we hit
Jim Curtin's going to want you to wear a suit next season, guys.
Y'all go get
a
beer glass.
Go to the store.
Yeah.
ScarpsandSpikes.com. There's a link.
Yeah, for $9.99, you could buy 1 goal for Atlanta United.
Yeah.
That's how the money starts trickling in. I see.
Exactly.
You can sponsor 1 Atlanta United goal. In the arms of the angels.
No, but I feel like we ran the gamut. We talked about lineups. We talked about coaching. We talked about officiating. We talked about all that stuff. And then you play Philly on the road or Atlanta on the road. Get wins. Please. Soon. Somebody score a goal for this team.
You get a couple wins. If you do something, Bruno, I can throw in a cigar. If you can get a couple wins on the road for sure, then definitely some of this conversation goes out the window. But at the end of the day, you got to win your freaking games at home, man, in front of your own fans. I know it's simple to say, and I know it's soccer and stupid things happen in soccer, and it'd be nice to have some luck, but sometimes you got to make your own luck, man. And this team is struggling to do that right now.
Take the keeper out at the knees next time.
That's one way.
Kidding. Don't do that.
Like Mbappe.
Yeah. I love Mbappe on this team, though.
That's true.
Are we done? Should we hit the music?
Tomorrow, we are doing the giveaway for Sweetwater. And so, you can pour nice Sweetwater in your brand new Scarves and Spikes glass. But go enter the giveaway. Twitter, Blue Sky, not Steve. And Instagram. And go enter. You'll see it pinned on all of them. Go enter. You and a friend can have a chance to win 2 VIP tickets to 420 Fest this weekend. We'll give them away tomorrow night, 7:00.
All right, Brett's just saying, any positives other than the fans to hit on real quick.
The game was an afternoon match, so you got to watch more of MLS. That's a positive.
A little palate cleanser, if you will.
That's my positive.
You are creating chances, and in soccer, sometimes it is finally about opening the floodgates. And if that can happen, then yeah, the conversation about this team changes very quickly. And you know, I think that is something to hold on to. You know, they are not being stuck into their own half for 90 minutes at a time. They're getting into the final third. They're getting into the box. There just needs to be some decision making that needs to be a little bit better up there. And I think you can really, really open things up for sure.
It wasn't worse than 1-0. That's another positive.
True.
Tommy, what's your positive?
Well, I was going to say you need a statement win. I mean, from there, like even a 1-0 win isn't like it's progress, but you need that statement win, and you just haven't had that yet. And that's really what you need, and that's why that's why I predicted 3-1. So I'm an idiot. But that was like I thought this was going to be the statement win, blowing them out in a game, and just saying, all right, Atlanta United is on the way. When does that game happen? Does it happen? No. Does it happen before a month begins with J?
Which is coming up.
That's the question.
My wedding month.
I said positive. I think the fans are the positive. They're sticking with it, and
yeah,
that's what the team needs it. Now the team needs to reward the fans back.
Yeah.
420 Fest. Get your tickets. Now, operators are standing by.
Do it.
Go to the is it Wayne's World? The Wayne's World video game room? Is that what?
I think that's it.
Arcade.
Anyone that goes, take a picture. I just want to see what the Wayne's World arcade machine is. That's a top 5 movie for me. Wayne's World 2 is a top 5 favorite movie for me.
Wayne's World 2 is not top 5. Is a sequel. Is it your favorite sequel of all time? Or is that D2?
No. Ghostbusters. And
Home Alone
D2.
3, obviously.
Home Alone 3, yeah. That's right. Shall I hit the music?
Home Alone 3. Yeah.
We get out of here?
Let's get out of here.
We can hang out.
I lost so many bets yesterday. So many because of this team. But the worst one that I lost is Tina said to me, we were on the way home from the hockey game, which was also a damn loss. I said to her, I go, if Atlanta United loses this game, Spaces is going to be terrible. It's going to be absolutely terrible. And I said to her, I go, I will be up by 6:30. And I even gave a 10-minute warning on Spaces. I go, guys, I am going to lose another bet. And I ended up at like 7 o'clock. I think that's what time I ended up finally up there. I lost. She just yelled down. She opened the door and goes, looks like you lost another one, Tommy. Shut up, Tina. I don't need to hear that. I don't need to hear that.
It's not a good weekend for you.
No, everything I touch is a loss. That indoor soccer league though is amazing.
Oh yeah.
It's hockey, and they don't have red cards they had a yellow card. Someone got a yellow card at the end, but they have blue cards. Like the blue card gives the other team a power play. So I was in heaven, and then I just started chanting Smurf, 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 Smurf when the guy got the blue card. and like all these kids were around me staring at me like having no clue. They're like, look at this noob at this indoor soccer game. I need to go to more of those. I was gonna say what's your favorite Smurf, but we'll save that for when someone pays for us to ask that question.
Yeah. See you guys.